Welcome back, Coinology. In the world of coin collecting, there are certain coins that, at first glance, may appear ordinary, simple, and even too common to be considered valuable, yet upon closer inspection they hold within them stories, designs, minting techniques, and a history that can astonish collectors and enthusiasts alike. One such coin is the 1-cent piece from the year 1977, a small coin that most people might pass by without giving it a second thought, yet it represents a chapter in American numismatic history, a piece of copper-coated art, and for some very rare examples, a coin that has achieved values that are almost impossible to comprehend, with certain specimens and unique varieties being discussed in coin collecting circles as having the potential to reach a market value in the hundreds of millions of dollars, with figures such as $248 million being linked to its worth in rare circumstances. To truly understand how a coin like the 1977 1-cent coin can be valued at such astronomical levels, one must dive deep into its history, its composition, its design, the minting process, the errors and varieties that make certain examples extremely rare, and the cultural importance of the Lincoln cent in the United States. The coin minted in 1977 belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which was introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Prior to 1959, the reverse side of the cent featured the wheat ears design, popularly known as the wheat penny. In 1959, however, the U.S. Mint shifted to a new design featuring the Lincoln Memorial, located in Washington, D.C., on the reverse, while the obverse continued to showcase the right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909. The year 1977 saw millions of these coins struck at multiple U.S. mints, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the latter producing proof coins for collectors. Although most of these cents remain common and can still be found in circulation, there exist extraordinary examples, error coins, and extremely rare variants that elevate their market value from a single cent to figures that can make them some of the most valuable coins ever discussed in the field of numismatics. The weight of the 1977 cent is an important factor in understanding its construction and value. Unlike the cents minted after 1982, which were struck primarily from copper-plated zinc, the 1977 cent is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it a total weight of 3.11 grams. This makes it heavier and slightly more durable than modern cents, which weigh only 2.5 grams due to their zinc composition. The rich copper luster of a 1977 cent, when preserved in high grades, adds to its appeal among collectors. Over time, copper coins develop a natural patina, sometimes toning into deep shades of red, brown, or a mixture known as red-brown, and the condition and toning of the coin are central to its value. Collectors prize coins that retain their original fiery red surfaces, untouched by circulation, and such pieces can be worth significantly more than their face value, even without the presence of unique errors or varieties. The obverse of the 1977 cent features the profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, who first introduced the design in 1909. His initials, VDB, were famously placed on the 1909 cents and became a point of controversy, but by 1977, his design was well established as one of the most enduring portraits in American coinage. The obverse includes the inscriptions "In God We Trust" along the upper rim, "Liberty" to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date, 1977, to the right. Depending on the mint, the coin may also bear a mint mark beneath the date, with no mint mark for Philadelphia, a D4 Denver, and an S4 San Francisco. Each mint mark variant carries its own level of rarity and desirability among collectors, especially when examining coins in high grades or those with proof finishes. The reverse of the coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, a structure that honors America's 16th president and symbolizes national unity. At the top of the reverse are the words "United States of America," and just below them is the national motto "E pluribus unum." The denomination, 1 cent, appears at the bottom. An interesting detail on the reverse of the Lincoln Memorial cent is that, with magnification, one can see a tiny representation of Abraham Lincoln's statue seated inside the memorial. This makes the 1977 cent one of the few coins in the world where both sides depict the same person. Such intricate design details highlight the artistry and thought that went into its creation, even for such a small denomination as the cent. While most 1977 cents remain plentiful and worth only a penny in circulation, the market for rare coins is driven by scarcity, condition, and error varieties. Coins with unusual minting mistakes, such as double dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or wrong metal strikes, can command incredible premiums. For the 1977 cent, collectors have documented various double die obverses and reverses, where the lettering or design appears doubled due to a misalignment during the hubbing process. These varieties are highly sought after, and in pristine condition, they can sell for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars at auction. The most legendary examples, however, are coins that combine rarity with condition, such as a flawless 1977 cent struck in proof with unique doubling or an extraordinary minting error. In theoretical or speculative valuations, some collectors and enthusiasts have even suggested that certain unique examples could achieve values exceeding $200 million, with figures like $248 million being cited in discussions of ultimate rarity and collector frenzy. While such figures are not typical auction results, they reflect the almost mythical status certain coins can achieve in the collective imagination of numismatics. To understand how a humble 1-cent coin could reach valuations in the hundreds of millions, one must consider the psychology of collecting and the economics of rarity. Coins are more than just metal, they are historical artifacts, cultural symbols, and tangible connections to the past. When a coin becomes unique, either through a dramatic minting error, a one-of-a-kind variety, or its survival in an absolutely pristine state, it ceases to be just a coin and becomes a relic, a piece of history that can inspire competition among the wealthiest collectors. The prices of such coins are not determined by their intrinsic metal value. After all, a 1977 cent contains only a few cents worth of copper, but by the passion and rivalry of collectors who wish to own the rarest and most exceptional pieces. In this sense, the 1977 cent's legendary valuations are a reflection of human fascination with rarity, history, and the pursuit of perfection. The year 1977 itself was a significant one in American history, politically, socially, and culturally, and coins struck during that year carry with them the echoes of that era. Jimmy Carter was inaugurated as the 39th President of the United States in January 1977, marking a transition in American politics. The economic landscape of the country was shifting, with inflation and energy crises shaping public life. In culture, music, and film, 1977 saw iconic moments, including the release of Star Wars, which forever changed the cinematic world, and the continuing influence of rock bands like Fleetwood Mac and Led Zeppelin. Coins minted in that year, though small and often unnoticed, are part of this broader historical context, a copper-plated time capsule from an America experiencing change and growth. The survival of 1977 cents in large numbers means that finding them is not difficult, but finding them in pristine, uncirculated condition is much more of a challenge. Coins that were struck and immediately placed into circulation quickly developed contact marks, scratches, and loss of luster. To achieve high grades, such as mint state 67 or higher, a coin must survive with virtually no blemishes and retain its original red copper surfaces. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC assign numerical grades to coins, and for the 1977 cent, coins in the top grades are relatively rare and command strong premiums. In some cases, these coins have sold for thousands of dollars. Add in the possibility of an error or variety, and the value can climb exponentially. The fascination with coins like the 1977 cent is not limited to professional collectors. Everyday people have discovered rare cents in pocket change, and stories abound of individuals finding coins worth small fortunes. This adds an element of treasure hunting to coin collecting, where every handful of change might contain a hidden rarity. The thought that a 1977 cent sitting in someone's drawer could be worth millions, or in extreme cases, hundreds of millions, fuels the excitement and curiosity of collectors around the world. When studying the 1977 1-cent coin more deeply, it is necessary to reflect not just on its surface details but also on the story of the Lincoln cent as a whole, because this coin is a continuation of a design that has lasted for well over a century. Abraham Lincoln's portrait first appeared on the cent in 1909, marking the centennial of his birth. It was the first time a real person, rather than symbolic imagery, was placed on a U.S. coin for regular circulation, which was a groundbreaking choice at the time. Victor David Brenner's design was bold, dignified, and timeless, and by 1977, his depiction of Lincoln had already been in use for 68 years. The choice to keep his portrait and combine it with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse created a coin that directly linked the man and the monument, giving Americans a small but powerful reminder of Lincoln's enduring legacy every time they used a penny in daily transactions. By 1977, the Lincoln Memorial design had been circulating for almost 2 decades, and while to the untrained eye all memorial cents look similar, collectors know that the smallest details can create major distinctions. Die polishing, hub doubling, variations in strike strength, and subtle shifts in minting technology all created opportunities for unique coins to emerge. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these coins, as did Denver, and the San Francisco Mint struck proof versions, which were sold in sets to collectors. Proof coins are struck multiple times with specially polished dies on carefully prepared planchets, giving them a mirror-like shine and sharp details that set them apart from circulation strikes. A proof 1977 cent in perfect condition is already highly valued by collectors, but when combined with rare doubling or unusual features, it can become almost priceless. One of the most intriguing aspects of coin collecting is the way a single error can change everything. Imagine a coin struck slightly off-center, so that part of the design is missing and the blank surface of the planchet is visible. Imagine a coin that is struck on the wrong metal, such as a cent struck on a dime planchet, creating a coin that is thinner, lighter, and incomplete in design. These errors are accidents of the minting process, but to collectors they are treasures because they are so unusual. For the 1977 cent, several varieties of errors have been documented, and their values range from hundreds of dollars to tens of thousands. A coin struck on aluminum, a coin struck with doubled lettering, or a coin struck with dramatic misalignments could easily become the centerpiece of a collection. And when such a coin is unique, there is no limit to the value a determined collector might pay. That is how numbers like $248 million enter the conversation, not because every 1977 cent is worth that much, but because in the right circumstances, with the right combination of rarity and demand, a coin can transcend normal pricing and enter the realm of legends. It is also fascinating to think about the weight and composition of the 1977 cent, because these physical properties link the coin to its time period. The 3.11 gram weight of the copper cent was standard until 1982, when the rising cost of copper forced the U.S. Mint to switch to a cheaper composition. In 1977, copper was still affordable enough to use in coinage, and the feel of the coin in the hand is slightly heavier and more substantial than modern zinc cents. To collectors and historians, this is not a trivial detail, it is part of the sensory connection to history. Holding a 1977 cent, you are not just holding a piece of metal, you are holding a fragment of 1970s America, a coin that passed through the pockets of people living in that decade, a coin that might have been used to buy candy, newspapers, or even to pay part of a telephone call at a payphone. This tangible connection to everyday life in the past is part of the charm that makes coin collecting such a deeply human pursuit. The visual appeal of a coin also plays a role in its desirability. A bright red, uncirculated 1977 cent gleams with the fiery glow of copper, catching the light in a way that can mesmerize the viewer. As the coin ages, the copper reacts with the air, and its color changes to shades of brown and darker red. Collectors categorize these tones as red, red-brown, or brown, and the difference in value between these categories can be dramatic. A coin that remains fully red after decades of storage is considered rare, and when combined with a high numerical grade from a professional grading service, it can sell for impressive sums. Imagine finding a flawless red 1977 cent with a doubled die obverse and a proof strike. It would be like discovering a treasure chest in your pocket change, a coin so rare and valuable that it could command millions at auction. The marketplace for coins like the 1977 cent is global. Collectors from every continent participate in auctions, online sales, and private transactions, competing to secure the most exceptional pieces. Wealthy individuals often see rare coins as more than just collectibles, they see them as investments, a way to preserve and even grow wealth through tangible assets that carry cultural significance. A coin valued at $248 million may sound outrageous, but in the world of art, history, and collectibles, similar figures have been reached for paintings, sculptures, and even manuscripts. The logic is the same. When something is unique, irreplaceable, and tied to a powerful historical narrative, its price is determined not by material but by human desire and competition. There is also something poetic about the idea that a coin worth only 1 cent could one day be worth hundreds of millions. It speaks to the unpredictability of history and the hidden treasures that lie in everyday objects. It reminds us that value is not fixed, but created by stories, by context, and by the passion of people who care enough to preserve and pursue these objects. The 1977 cent, for most people, is just a penny, but for those who know its potential, it is a symbol of discovery, of possibility, and of the extraordinary within the ordinary. In addition to its potential value, the 1977 cent also serves as an educational tool for learning about minting technology. The process of striking coins involves dies, planchets, presses, and quality control measures, and each step provides opportunities for variation. By studying coins closely, collectors can learn how doubling occurs, how planchets can be misfed into presses, how overpolishing can remove details from dies, and how different metals affect the appearance of the strike. The 1977 cent is a perfect case study in these areas, as it was minted in such large quantities that examples of nearly every type of error and variation can be found. The culture of coin collecting itself is another layer of the story. In 1977, coin collecting was already a popular hobby in the United States, with millions of people filling blue Whitman folders with pennies from circulation, hunting for missing dates and mint marks. The excitement of finding a rare coin in pocket change has always driven new collectors into the hobby, and the Lincoln cent has been the gateway for generations. The 1977 cent continues this tradition, with modern collectors still searching rolls of pennies from banks, hoping to uncover a gem hidden among the common coins. For some, the dream is not just to find a rare variety but to find the ultimate rarity, the coin that could be worth millions, even hundreds of millions, if it proves to be unique. The 1977 1-cent coin, though small in size, continues to captivate collectors and historians because it bridges the gap between everyday commerce and extraordinary rarity. It is often said that coins are the most democratic of collectibles, because anyone can find them, anyone can hold them, and yet at the same time, some of them ascend into realms of value that are only accessible to the wealthiest collectors. This dual nature of the penny is especially true for the 1977 cent, because while billions were minted and countless examples still sit in jars, drawers, and cash registers across America, there are certain unique examples and rare varieties that elevate the coin from mere currency to priceless artifact. This strange balance between abundance and rarity is what makes the study of the 1977 cent endlessly fascinating, because one person may dismiss it as worthless copper while another may see it as a treasure capable of commanding a price tag in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The historical backdrop of the 1970s gives the coin further meaning, because a coin is never just a piece of metal, it is always a product of its time. In 1977, the United States was emerging from the turmoil of the Vietnam War era, and the nation was navigating challenges of inflation, energy shortages, and shifting cultural values. Coins minted in that year circulated in a society that was listening to disco music on the radio, lining up to see blockbuster films in theaters, and adjusting to the presidency of Jimmy Carter. Every cent minted in 1977 carries with it the invisible fingerprints of that era, silently passing through the hands of people who lived in a world that now feels like history. A coin found today might have been in the pocket of a student in 1977, a worker buying lunch, or a child saving coins in a piggy bank, and it is this connection to ordinary lives that gives coins their emotional resonance. Looking closely at the design of the coin reveals details that often go unnoticed. Abraham Lincoln's profile is finely detailed, with lines in his hair, contours in his cheek, and folds in his clothing carefully captured by the engraver's skill. The words "In God We Trust" curve across the top, an expression of national belief that has appeared on American coins for generations. The word liberty reminds the holder of one of the founding ideals of the country, while the date 1977 places the coin firmly within its time. Beneath the date, the presence or absence of a mint mark adds another layer of interest. A D indicates the Denver Mint, which produced a vast number of coins, while the absence of a mark indicates the Philadelphia Mint. The S Mint mark on proof coins links the piece to San Francisco, where some of the most beautifully struck coins of the era were produced. To the average person, these mint marks mean little, but to collectors, they are vital clues that affect rarity, desirability, and value. The reverse of the coin, with its depiction of the Lincoln Memorial, serves as both a work of art and a lesson in history. The memorial itself is a grand marble structure, located on the National Mall, designed to honor Abraham Lincoln and his role in preserving the Union. On the coin, it is rendered with surprising precision, with columns, steps, and even the tiny seated statue of Lincoln visible within. To the naked eye, the statue might not be apparent, but under magnification, the tiny figure becomes clear, making this one of the few coins to display the same individual on both sides. This clever detail has long fascinated collectors, because it shows the dedication of engravers and designers to put meaning into even the smallest details of a common coin. Above the memorial are the words "United States of America," bold and declarative, while beneath them appears the motto "E pluribus unum," which means out of many, one. At the bottom of the coin, the denomination 1 cent is spelled out, affirming the coin's role in commerce. The way coins wear over time also tells a story. A well-worn 1977 cent, with smooth surfaces and faint details, reveals that it passed through countless hands, carrying with it the marks of daily life. A bright, uncirculated cent, on the other hand, shows what the coin looked like the day it was struck, frozen in time with sharp lines and glowing luster. Collectors treasure these uncirculated examples because they preserve the artistry of the original design, untouched by circulation. When these coins are graded by professional services and assigned designations like MS65, MS66, or higher, they become prized possessions. Only a tiny fraction of 1977 cents survive in such pristine condition, making them rare despite the vast numbers originally minted, but the real magic lies in error coins, because they break the mold of normalcy. For example, a 1977 cent with a doubled die obverse may show doubled letters in Liberty or In God We Trust, making it immediately distinct. These doubling errors occurred during the creation of the dies used to strike the coins, and they are rare enough to make collectors pay handsomely for them. Off-center strikes are another fascinating variety, where part of the design is missing because the planchet was not aligned correctly in the press. Some of these errors are so dramatic that half the coin is blank, while others are subtle, but all of them attract interest. Clipped planchets, where a piece of the metal blank is missing, create coins with curved or jagged edges. Wrong planchet errors, where a cent design is struck on a dime or nickel planchet, are among the most valuable of all, because they combine rarity with dramatic visual difference. Any of these errors in a 1977 cent could catapult its value from pocket change to life-changing wealth, and collectors have been known to pay staggering sums to own such pieces. When we imagine the extraordinary valuations of coins like this, such as the figure of $248 million, it is essential to understand that this number represents the ultimate extreme of rarity and desirability. Not every coin will reach such a level, but the possibility is what excites collectors. Just as a painting by Leonardo da Vinci or Vincent van Gogh can sell for hundreds of millions, so too can a unique coin, if it captures the imagination of collectors and becomes the focus of competition among the wealthy. The 1977 cent, because of its history, its design, its errors, and its connection to one of America's most beloved presidents, has all the ingredients to inspire such a frenzy if the right example were discovered. This is why so many people continue to check their pocket change, examine rolls of pennies, and search through coin jars. Every coin is a mystery, and the chance of discovering something extraordinary keeps the hobby alive. A single find could change someone's life, turning a simple penny into a fortune. And even if the extraordinary coin is never found, the act of searching connects collectors with history, with art, and with a community of fellow enthusiasts who share the same passion. The beauty of the 1977 1-cent coin is that it represents so much more than a monetary unit. To the average person, it is only a penny, often overlooked, sometimes dropped on the sidewalk without a second thought, but to the collector and to the historian, it is a piece of heritage, a link to a pivotal era, and in rare circumstances, an object of unimaginable value. When you hold such a coin in your hand, you are holding something that connects countless stories, from the miners who extracted the copper or that became the planchet, to the workers at the U.S. Mint who oversaw its striking, to the citizens who used it in their daily lives. Every scratch, every mark, every shade of toning on the coin tells a story of its journey through time, and for the 1977 cent, the journey spans nearly half a century. Collectors often talk about the concept of provenance, the history of ownership of an object. For rare coins, provenance can greatly increase value, because a coin that once belonged to a famous collection carries with it a sense of prestige. Imagine if a unique 1977 cent error coin had once been owned by a legendary numismatist or had appeared in a famous auction. It would immediately acquire a reputation that would add to its mystique and market value. Provenance reminds us that coins are not just static objects but living participants in history, passing from one generation to another, accumulating stories as they go. Another fascinating dimension of the 1977 cent is the way its value can be influenced by grading. Professional grading services such as PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70, with higher numbers representing better condition. A 1977 cent graded MS60 may only be worth a few dollars, but one graded MS67 or higher can be worth hundreds or even thousands. The differences between these grades can be subtle to the untrained eye. A faint scratch here, a slightly weaker strike there, but to experienced collectors and investors, those differences are everything. In the world of high-grade coins, rarity is not only about how many were minted but about how many have survived in pristine condition. That is why top-grade 1977 cents are so highly prized, and why collectors will pay large sums to secure them. The shift from copper to zinc in 1982 also casts a long shadow over coins like the 1977 cent. Because it was struck before this change, it represents the last era of heavy, copper-based pennies. Collectors often note the difference in feel and sound between the older copper cents and the newer zinc ones. A copper cent, when dropped on a hard surface, makes a distinct ringing sound, while a zinc cent produces a duller tone. These sensory differences matter to collectors because they underscore the authenticity and richness of the older coins. In a world where the materials of coins are constantly changing due to economic pressures, the 1977 cent is a reminder of a time when pennies were still mostly copper, carrying intrinsic value that far exceeds today's lightweight zinc issues. It is also important to explore the psychology of collecting, because it is this human element that ultimately drives the extraordinary valuations of rare coins. People collect for many reasons. Some are motivated by nostalgia, remembering the coins they saw as children. Others are driven by the thrill of the hunt, the possibility of finding something rare. Still others see coins as investments, tangible assets that can hold value even in uncertain times. For all of these collectors, the 1977 cent holds a particular allure, because it is both accessible and mysterious. Anyone can find a 1977 penny in circulation, yet the possibility that one of those coins could be worth a fortune adds a sense of magic to the search. It is this combination of accessibility and mystery that makes the 1977 cent so compelling. At the high end of the market, where millionaires and billionaires compete for the rarest coins, the stakes become even more intense. A unique 1977 cent error or variety could ignite a bidding war unlike anything seen before. Wealthy collectors often view their purchases as a legacy, something to pass down to future generations or to donate to museums. In this sense, the 1977 cent is more than an investment, it is a way of making history, of owning a piece of the American story. The idea that such a coin could sell for $248 million may sound unbelievable, but it becomes more plausible when you consider the psychology of competition, pride, and the desire to own the irreplaceable. The story of the 1977 cent also provides lessons about economics. Coins remind us that money itself is not just about value but about trust and symbolism. A 1-cent coin costs more than 1 cent to produce when made of copper, which is why the U.S. Mint eventually changed the composition. Yet people continued to accept the coin as worth 1 cent because of the government's guarantee. When collectors assign values far beyond face value to a coin, they are acknowledging that money has multiple layers of meaning: intrinsic, symbolic, and cultural. A 1977 cent may be worth 1 cent in the grocery store, $1 in a collector's binder, thousands in an auction hall, or hundreds of millions in the realm of ultimate rarity. Each of these values is real within its context, and together they illustrate the fascinating fluidity of worth. There is also the matter of global interest. While the 1977 cent is an American coin, its fame extends worldwide. Collectors in Europe, Asia, and beyond are fascinated by U.S. coins, and Lincoln cents in particular have become global symbols. They are small enough to be collected in bulk, yet rich enough in history and variety to satisfy even the most advanced numismatists. International collectors often seek out rare varieties and high-grade examples, driving up demand and increasing the chances that a legendary coin could achieve astronomical value at auction. In this way, the 1977 cent is not just an American story but part of a global culture of collecting. Even the smallest details of the coin can become the subject of study. For instance, the thickness of the lettering, the shape of the mint mark, or the clarity of Lincoln's eye can all reveal information about the die used to strike the coin. Specialists spend years studying these micro details, cataloging varieties, and publishing guides that help other collectors identify rare pieces. The 1977 cent, though common at first glance, has given rise to a world of scholarship, with dedicated experts examining every aspect of its production. It is this level of detail and passion that transforms a simple penny into an object of lifelong fascination, and as with all coins, the 1977 cent is also subject to myths, rumors, and stories. Tales circulate about pennies discovered in old jars that turned out to be worth fortunes, about rare varieties found in circulation decades after they were minted, and about the possibility of undiscovered errors waiting to be found. These stories fuel the imagination and keep collectors searching. They remind us that even in a world of high technology and instant information, there are still mysteries hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in something as ordinary as pocket change. The journey of the 1977 1-cent coin becomes even more fascinating when we think about its place in the broader history of American coinage. The Lincoln cent is the longest-running design in U.S. coin history, having first appeared in 1909 and still being struck today, over a century later. Few designs have endured so long, and the fact that Abraham Lincoln continues to appear on the cent speaks to his lasting impact on the American consciousness. The 1977 cent, therefore, is not just an isolated issue but part of this larger legacy, a small copper disc that has carried Lincoln's image into the hands of millions of people across generations. In 1977, billions of pennies were struck, which might make one think that none of them could possibly be valuable. But rarity in coins is not only about the number minted, it is about survival, condition, and uniqueness. Billions may have been made, but how many still exist in pristine condition, never touched by circulation, still gleaming with full red copper luster? The answer is very few. And how many of those flawless examples also happen to display a dramatic minting error or a doubled die? Perhaps only one. That is what transforms a coin from common to legendary. It is important to consider how coins circulate, because circulation itself is a process that both preserves and destroys history. A coin minted in 1977 may have been used thousands of times in daily transactions, passed from hand to hand, pocket to pocket, register to register. In doing so, it fulfilled its original purpose, serving as money, but at the cost of losing its sharpness and beauty. Scratches, dents, and wear accumulate, slowly erasing the finer details. By the time a coin has been in circulation for years, its surfaces may be smooth, its luster gone, its appearance dull. That is the fate of most 1977 cents, and that is why uncirculated examples are treasured. They are survivors, pieces that somehow avoided the harshness of daily commerce and retained their original perfection. The act of grading coins, therefore, is not just about numbers but about recognizing rarity within abundance. A 1977 cent in mint state 67 or higher is rare not because it was never made, but because it somehow escaped circulation, storage damage, and environmental decay. These survivors become ambassadors of their era, showing us what the coin looked like the day it was struck. For collectors, this is a powerful experience, holding in your hand not just a coin, but a time capsule, a perfect example of craftsmanship from nearly 50 years ago. When we think of extraordinary values, such as $248 million, it is natural to ask how a coin could ever be worth that much. The answer lies in the intersection of rarity, demand, and symbolism. A coin that is absolutely unique, that exists in only one known example, becomes priceless because it cannot be replaced. If that coin also carries with it historical significance, artistic beauty, and cultural symbolism, its desirability increases exponentially. Add to that the passion and wealth of collectors who compete to own it, and you have the conditions for astronomical prices. This has been proven time and again in the art world, where paintings and sculptures have sold for hundreds of millions, and in the coin world, where rare pieces like the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle have fetched over $18 million at auction. The 1977 cent has the potential, under the right circumstances, to join this elite category, especially if a unique and dramatic error variety were to be discovered. The weight and composition of the 1977 cent also remind us of how coins evolve over time. The 3.11 gram copper cent was part of a tradition dating back decades, but by the early 1980s, rising copper prices made it impractical to continue. Thus, the cent was changed to a copper-plated zinc coin weighing 2.5 grams. This shift may seem minor, but it was a major moment in U.S. coinage, altering not only the feel and durability of the coin but also its very identity. Collectors often draw a line between pre-1982 copper cents and post-1982 zinc cents, viewing the copper coins as more authentic and desirable. The 1977 cent, firmly on the copper side of this divide, carries with it the weight of that authenticity. Another layer of fascination is added when we consider the artistry of Victor David Brenner, whose portrait of Lincoln continues to grace the obverse. Brenner's design was revolutionary in 1909, and by 1977 it had become a familiar and beloved image. Yet the artistry remains striking when studied closely. Lincoln's thoughtful gaze, his dignified profile, the fine lines of his beard, all these details reveal the care with which the portrait was created. For millions of Americans, the Lincoln cent may be the only piece of art they encounter on a daily basis, making it not just money but a cultural artifact that carries meaning far beyond its monetary value. The reverse design by Frank Gasparo, featuring the Lincoln Memorial, also deserves attention. At first glance, it is a simple depiction of a building, but upon closer inspection, it is a statement of national unity and respect for Lincoln's legacy. The inclusion of the tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial is a detail so small that most people never notice it, yet it symbolizes the depth of thought that went into the design. Collectors appreciate this kind of artistry because it shows that even the smallest coin was given careful attention. The 1977 cent is thus both a tool of commerce and a miniature work of art. The social meaning of coins should not be overlooked. A penny is often dismissed as trivial, yet it has been part of countless childhood memories, from being saved in piggy banks to being pressed into souvenir machines at amusement parks. In 1977, a child could buy candy or a small toy with pennies, giving the coin a sense of real purchasing power that it has largely lost today. For older generations, pennies were part of daily budgeting, part of counting change carefully at the store. In this way, the 1977 cent is not just a coin but a piece of social history, reflecting how Americans lived, spent, and saved in that era, and yet, hidden within this humble history lies the possibility of greatness. The thought that one specific 1977 cent, through a rare error or unique survival, could be worth $248 million, transforms the coin from ordinary to legendary. It creates a sense of adventure for collectors, a dream that keeps them searching. It is this dream that fuels the hobby, this hope that the next coin examined could be the one that changes everything. The deeper one looks into the 1977 1-cent coin, the clearer it becomes that its story is not confined to numismatics alone but extends into broader questions about value, history, and the way human beings assign meaning to objects. At the surface, it is a small copper coin worth only a cent, struck by the billions, intended to pass quickly through hands and pockets without anyone giving it much thought. But beneath that surface lies an entire world of rarity, era varieties, cultural memory, and even dreams of unimaginable wealth, with figures such as $248 million attached to extraordinary and unique examples. This duality, commonplace yet potentially priceless, is at the heart of what makes the 1977 penny so endlessly captivating. To fully appreciate this coin, one must imagine the process by which it was created. The journey began with copper, mined from the earth, refined, and shaped into metal blanks known as planchets. These planchets were transported to the U.S. mints, where they were fed into massive presses. Each press contained a pair of dies, one for the obverse, one for the reverse, carefully prepared to impart the image of Abraham Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial onto the blank. With immense pressure, the dies struck the planchet, transferring the design in a fraction of a second. Most strikes were routine, producing ordinary coins that looked like every other penny minted that year. But occasionally, something unusual happened. A doubled die caused letters to appear doubled, a misaligned strike left part of the design off-center, a wrong planchet created a coin with unexpected weight or metal composition. These rare accidents are what collectors treasure, because they transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. The fascination with mint errors goes beyond rarity, it is also about the thrill of discovery. Anyone, anywhere, can pick up a handful of change and potentially uncover a coin that the mint never intended to exist. In 1977, countless people used pennies without ever thinking to check them for unusual traits. Today, however, collectors and even casual searchers examine 1977 cents under magnification, hoping to find a doubled die, a repunched mint mark, or an off-metal strike. The possibility that such a coin could be worth not just hundreds or thousands but millions of dollars makes the search irresistible. And in the collective imagination of numismatics, the idea of a one-of-a-kind coin selling for $248 million is not impossible, it is simply waiting for the right moment, the right discovery, and the right group of passionate bidders. The economics of copper also add depth to the story. In 1977, a cent was struck in 95% copper, weighing 3.11 grams. At that time, copper was cheap enough for the mint to use in billions of coins. But in the decades that followed, copper prices rose, and by the early 1980s the mint could no longer afford to produce pennies from nearly pure copper. This led to the transition in 1982 to copper-plated zinc cents, which weigh less and have a different feel. The 1977 cent, therefore, is part of the last era of true copper pennies, and collectors often prefer these older coins for their authenticity and heft. The fact that each cent contained metal worth close to its face value gives it a certain dignity, unlike modern cents that contain only a fraction of a cent's worth of zinc. It is also worth noting the role of the mint marks in shaping collector interest. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, Denver added the D mark, and San Francisco produced proof coins marked with an S. Each mint had its own production standards, and while the coins may look identical at first glance, specialists can identify subtle differences. Proof coins from San Francisco, for example, were struck with extra care, often multiple times, to ensure sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. A flawless 1977 S-proof cent can already command significant value, but if paired with an unusual error such as a double die, it could become one of the most valuable coins ever struck. These distinctions remind us that even among billions of coins, the smallest variations can mean the difference between pocket change and a priceless treasure. The cultural resonance of the Lincoln cent is another reason why coins like the 1977 penny capture the imagination. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most revered figures in American history, remembered for his leadership during the Civil War and his role in abolishing slavery. His portrait on the penny is not just a decoration, it is a symbol of freedom, unity, and resilience. Millions of Americans carry his image in their pockets every day, making him one of the most recognized figures in the world. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse reinforces this symbolism, serving as a reminder of the ideals for which Lincoln stood. To collectors, owning a flawless or rare Lincoln cent is not just about owning a coin, it is about owning a piece of the national story. As time passes, coins like the 1977 cent become artifacts of history. They gain meaning not only from their design and composition but from their survival across decades. A penny struck in 1977 may have traveled through thousands of transactions, across states, even across oceans, before ending up in a collector's hand. Each coin carries with it invisible stories of where it has been, who has held it, and what it has been used for. This sense of continuity, of connecting past and present, is part of what makes coin collecting so powerful. It is not simply about money, it is about memory. The market for rare coins is fueled by this combination of memory, rarity, and desire. When a unique piece appears, collectors compete fiercely, driving prices upward. Records are broken not because of the intrinsic value of the metal, but because of the emotional and cultural value assigned to the object. The 1977 cent, if discovered in a unique and dramatic error variety, could become the centerpiece of such a bidding war, attracting global attention and shattering price records. A value of $248 million, while extraordinary, would not be unprecedented in the world of collectibles, where passion often outweighs logic, and yet, perhaps the most compelling part of the 1977 cent story is that anyone could find one. Unlike rare paintings locked away in museums or private collections, coins circulate. They hide in jars, drawers, attics, and bankrolls, waiting to be rediscovered. The idea that the next coin you examine could be the legendary rarity worth millions is what keeps the hunt alive. It is this dream that transforms an ordinary hobby into an adventure, and it is why the 1977 1-cent coin continues to inspire collectors of all ages. The 1977 1-cent coin also represents an era of American history that was itself full of change and tension. The late 1970s were marked by economic challenges, political shifts, and cultural transformations. Inflation was rising, the nation was emerging from the aftermath of the Vietnam War, and confidence in government institutions had been shaken by Watergate just a few years earlier. In such times, even the smallest objects like coins became symbols of continuity, grounding people in something familiar and dependable. Every time someone reached into their pocket and pulled out a penny, they saw Lincoln's face, a reminder of stability, sacrifice, and unity, even when the nation itself felt uncertain. The 1977 cent is, in that sense, more than a coin. It is a small witness to the struggles and hopes of that era. Looking closer at the details, the obverse design of the 1977 cent captures Lincoln in a moment of calm strength. His profile is serious, almost solemn, reflecting the burden of leadership during America's greatest crisis. This portrait has been in use since 1909, but by 1977, it had become iconic, an image that generations had grown up seeing daily. Collectors often study the fine points of this design under magnification, noting the sharpness of the beard, the clarity of the hair, the strength of the lettering around the rim. A coin struck with full detail, without weakness in the die, becomes a small masterpiece of minting art. And when such a coin also retains its original red luster, gleaming like it did the day it was made, it becomes something truly special. Of the reverse, with its image of the Lincoln Memorial, also reflects the mood of the time. The memorial itself is a structure dedicated to remembrance, a place where visitors come to reflect on Lincoln's legacy. By placing it on the reverse of the cent, the U.S. Mint created a daily reminder of those values. The detail that makes this design particularly remarkable is the tiny statue of Lincoln, visible between the central columns of the memorial. This miniature within the larger image is one of the smallest design elements on any US coin, and yet it is one of the most meaningful, symbolizing that Lincoln is not just represented by the building but lives within it. Many people never notice this detail, but for collectors it is one of the reasons why the memorial reverse, used from 1959 to 2008, is so beloved. The weight of 3.11 grams might seem like a technical detail, but it carries with it a sense of authenticity. Holding a copper cent in your hand, you feel a solidity that is missing from the lighter zinc cents introduced in 1982. The sound of a copper cent when dropped on a table is also distinctive, a deeper and more resonant tone than that of a zinc cent. Collectors often describe this as the ring of copper, and it becomes a way of connecting with the past. Each 1977 cent, therefore, carries not only visual and historical value but also tactile and auditory qualities that make it special. When we think about coins worth hundreds of millions of dollars, it may seem unbelievable that such a small object could carry such a value. But history shows that collectors are willing to pay extraordinary sums for items that are unique, historically significant, and culturally meaningful. A 1977 cent with a dramatic, one-of-a-kind error, say, struck on the wrong planchet, doubled in design, or produced with a unique flaw, could easily become the subject of intense competition among the world's wealthiest collectors. The auction stage becomes a theater of desire, with bidders driving prices higher and higher, not just to own the coin but to own a piece of history that no one else can have. It is in this environment that a value like $248 million, while staggering, becomes conceivable. The idea of coins as treasures also taps into something primal in human nature. Since ancient times, people have sought out precious objects, whether they were gold, silver, or jewels, not just for their material worth but for what they represented. Coins are different because they are both common and rare at the same time. Billions exist, yet the search for the one unique example transforms them into treasures. The 1977 penny, in circulation, may seem like nothing more than a piece of pocket change. But for the collector who finds that special coin flawless, rare, or bearing an extraordinary error, it becomes a discovery worth fortunes. This duality between the ordinary and the extraordinary is part of what makes coin collecting such a fascinating pursuit. The sentimental value of coins also cannot be overlooked. For many people, pennies are tied to memories of childhood, saving them in jars, rolling them into paper sleeves, tossing them into fountains for wishes, or finding them pressed into souvenirs at carnivals. A 1977 penny may have been part of someone's very first allowance, or it may have been handed across a counter as part of change during a significant purchase. Each coin carries unseen stories, making it not just metal but memory. When a coin like this is elevated to legendary status through rarity and value, it becomes a symbol of all those stories combined, a tiny piece of metal representing millions of lives and experiences. This emotional connection is one of the reasons why coins can command such extraordinary values at auction. Collectors are not just buying metal, they are buying history, memory, and meaning. The 1977 cent, with its link to Lincoln, its role in the era of copper coinage, and its potential for rarity, embodies all of these qualities. The market responds to this combination, turning ordinary coins into objects of extraordinary value. The dream of finding a 1977 cent worth $248 million continues to inspire collectors, hobbyists, and even casual searchers. It is a dream rooted in possibility, in the idea that the next coin examined could be the one. That dream keeps the hobby alive, ensuring that coins like the 1977 penny will always hold a place of fascination in the world of numismatics. The story of the 1977 penny is also deeply connected to the psychology of collecting itself. Why do people pursue small, seemingly insignificant objects with such passion? Why does a copper coin, struck in the billions, inspire hours of searching, cataloging, and dreaming? The answer lies in human nature, the desire to possess something rare, the thrill of discovery, and the satisfaction of holding history in your hand. A 1977 cent found in circulation today can spark excitement precisely because it has survived more than 4 decades, carrying with it the marks of time and use. And if that coin happens to show a rare error or remains in pristine condition, it becomes more than a simple artifact. It becomes a symbol of luck, patience, and dedication. The Lincoln cent, and particularly the 1977 issue, is also tied to the broader American tradition of honoring leaders through coinage. Unlike monarchies, which often place reigning kings or queens on their coins, the United States reserves such honors for figures from history. Lincoln, chosen for the cent in 1909, was the first historical figure to appear on a U.S. coin intended for circulation. That decision broke with tradition and reflected the deep respect Americans held for him. By 1977, the cent had already borne Lincoln's image for nearly 7 decades, becoming an inseparable part of American identity. Every time a person looked at a penny, they were reminded of Lincoln's enduring presence in the nation's story. Collectors often speak of the allure of the red cent. Copper has a natural tendency to darken over time, shifting from bright orange red to a more subdued brown. A 1977 cent that retains its original red color is considered far more desirable than one that is toned or darkened, because it represents the coin as it looked when it first left the mint. Such coins are rarities, and they command strong premiums in the collector's market. Imagine, then, a 1977 cent preserved perfectly in its brilliant red state, without a single mark, scratch, or flaw. Such a piece would not only be beautiful but also nearly unique, and in the realm of numismatics, uniqueness is the gateway to immense value. The Lincoln Memorial reverse also deserves closer attention, because it reflects a period of American coinage history that has now passed. From 1959 to 2008, the memorial graced the back of the penny, making it one of the longest-running reverse designs in U.S. history. In 2009, for the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth, new designs were issued, and in 2010 the shield design replaced the memorial permanently. This makes the 1977 cent part of a long but now concluded chapter, adding nostalgia to its appeal. Collectors often feel drawn to coins from eras that have ended, seeing them as relics of the past. The 1977 cent is one of those relics, a reminder of a design that once defined the penny but is no longer seen in circulation today. Another dimension to the value of the 1977 penny is the role of grading services. Organizations like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, provide standardized grades for coins, encapsulating them in protective holders that certify their authenticity and condition. For a 1977 cent to achieve astronomical value, it would almost certainly need to be graded at the highest levels, mint state 67, 68, or even higher. The number of coins surviving in such perfect states is incredibly small, and when they do appear, they become treasures sought after by advanced collectors. If a coin were to combine this level of perfection with a rare error or variety, its value could easily leap into the tens or hundreds of millions. The cultural meaning of the penny itself also adds to the story. For generations, the phrase "a penny saved is a penny earned" reflected the importance of thrift and careful spending. Children learned to count using pennies, and many families kept jars of them in kitchens or bedrooms. In 1977, the penny still held real purchasing power, enough to buy candy, gum, or small items at the store. Today, with inflation having eroded its buying power, the penny is often dismissed as worthless, even debated for elimination. This contrast between its former usefulness and its current status adds to the irony of a single penny being worth hundreds of millions. It reminds us that value is not always tied to utility. It is often tied to rarity, symbolism, and desire. The 1977 penny also invites us to think about the broader landscape of rare coins. Legendary rarities like the 1804 silver dollar, the 1913 Liberty head nickel, or the 1933 St. Gaudens double eagle have sold for millions, not because of their metal content but because of their stories. The 1977 cent, while not yet a widely recognized rarity, has the potential to join this elite club if a unique specimen were discovered. Its combination of historical resonance, artistic design, and potential error varieties gives it all the qualities needed to become a legend. The dream of such a discovery is what keeps collectors searching, sifting through rolls, and examining every cent with careful eyes. In this way, the 1977 1-cent coin is not just a piece of money but a gateway into a larger world of history, art, culture, and dreams. It represents the possibility that even the smallest, most overlooked object can carry within it the power to astonish, inspire, and transform. The thought that one could hold in their hand a coin worth $248 million, a coin no different in size from the one resting in your pocket right now, is what makes this story so compelling. The 1977 penny's journey is also shaped by how people interact with it over time. Unlike gold or silver coins, which were often hoarded and saved, the cent was designed for constant circulation. Because of this, most 1977 cents you encounter today are worn, scratched, or discolored, showing the marks of everyday use. But this very fact adds depth to the search for perfection. Out of the billions minted, only a tiny handful could possibly survive in flawless condition, untouched by circulation or environmental damage. That makes the chase for high-grade examples one of the most thrilling aspects of collecting. The 1977 cent. It is worth pausing to consider how many places a single penny from 1977 might have traveled. Imagine one struck at the Denver Mint, bright and red when it first rolled off the press. It may have been shipped in a bag to a bank, poured into a vault, and then distributed to a local grocery store. Perhaps it was used to make change in thousands of transactions, handed from cashier to customer, rattling in pockets and purses, sliding across counters. Along the way, it might have paid for bus fare, candy, or a newspaper. It may have fallen between sofa cushions, been picked up by a child for luck, or even been carried overseas in someone's pocket. Each mark on its surface would tell part of its story. For most coins, this long life of use means eventual wear and worth only a cent. But for the rare survivor that never endured this journey, one stored in pristine condition or struck with an extraordinary error, the story becomes much more remarkable. Collectors often dream of finding varieties like doubled dies or off-metal strikes among 1977 cents. A doubled die shows duplicated features, such as letters or numbers that appear doubled under magnification. An off-metal strike occurs when a coin is struck on the wrong type of planchet, such as a dime or foreign coin blank. These mistakes are incredibly rare, but when they occur, they transform a common coin into a legendary rarity. For example, a 1977 penny accidentally struck on a silver dime planchet would not only be lighter in weight but would also stand out visually, creating a coin unlike almost any other. Such a piece, if unique, could capture the imagination of collectors worldwide and become worth an astronomical sum. The question of value, how a 1-cent piece can rise to $248 million, is best understood when looking at the passion of the numismatic community. Collectors are not just buying coins, they are buying uniqueness, prestige, and a connection to history. When only one example of a coin exists in a certain form, its value skyrockets because it cannot be duplicated. No matter how wealthy another collector may be, they cannot acquire it unless the owner is willing to part with it. This exclusivity fuels bidding wars, where prices soar far beyond the intrinsic worth of the metal. The 1977 cent, if discovered in such a unique form, could become the centerpiece of such a dramatic sale, but beyond money, there is also emotion. Coins like the 1977 penny remind us of simpler times, when a single cent could still buy something meaningful. Parents and grandparents often share stories of when pennies were saved in rolls or jars, slowly accumulating until they became enough for a toy, a treat, or a special purchase. A 1977 cent tucked away in a child's piggy bank in that year may have seemed insignificant, but decades later it becomes a piece of personal history. When these personal memories intersect with rarity and beauty, the coin transforms into something that transcends its face value entirely. The importance of the mint mark also plays a role in the identity of the 1977 cent coins. Without a mint mark came from Philadelphia, those with a D from Denver, and proofs with an S from San Francisco. Each mint produced coins with slightly different characteristics, and collectors often pursue complete sets to capture the full picture of production. The 1977 S-proof coins, struck with extra care, are particularly appealing, especially when they retain their mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. These proofs were never meant for circulation but were sold directly to collectors. Their survival rate is higher, yet finding one without even the tiniest flaw can still be a challenge. Combine this with the possibility of a rare variety, and suddenly the 1977 S-proof becomes a candidate for immense value as well. The copper composition of the 1977 cent adds another layer of attraction. Copper has long been associated with strength, durability, and even beauty, as it develops natural toning over time. Some collectors prize coins that remain blazing red, while others appreciate the deep chocolate browns or rainbow tones that can develop through natural aging. Each coin is unique in its coloration, giving collectors a sense that their piece is one of a kind even among common examples. But for high-value coins, original brilliance tends to bring the highest premiums, since it reflects preservation closest to the minting moment. When we talk about astronomical values like $248 million, we are also talking about dreams. For many collectors, even the hope that a humble 1977 penny in their pocket could hold such potential is enough to inspire a lifetime of searching. That dream keeps the hobby alive, turning everyday change into an endless treasure hunt. The fact that it is possible, no matter how unlikely, creates excitement, and excitement fuels collecting. Each 1977 penny examined under a magnifying glass represents another chance at discovery, another step in the pursuit of something legendary to eye in this way. The 1977 1-cent coin is not just about money, history, or design, it is about imagination. It invites us to see beyond the surface, to consider the stories behind the scratches, the possibilities within the minting process, and the meaning of value itself. To some, it will always be just a penny. To others, it is a priceless artifact, a dream waiting to be realized, a coin that could carry within it the staggering sum of $248 million and the power to rewrite numismatic history forever. As we come to the end of this long exploration of the 1977 1-cent coin, it becomes clear that what makes this tiny copper piece so extraordinary is not only its physical design, its weight of 3.11 grams, its copper composition, or the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln gazing forward with quiet strength. What elevates it is the story it tells, the story of America in 1977, the story of the minting process with all its precision and occasional errors, the story of collectors who search tirelessly for that one perfect example that might change their lives forever. The coin itself may seem small, but its significance is vast. Each detail, from the words "In God We Trust" to the carefully inscribed Liberty and the date 1977, connects us with history. Each mint mark, whether the blank space for Philadelphia, the D for Denver, or the S for San Francisco, adds another chapter to the tale. Each proof coin, each circulation strike, each 1 penny that has passed through countless hands, becomes part of the larger mosaic of memory and meaning. And among them all lies the possibility of greatness, the unique, flawless, or dramatically misstruck coin that rises above the billions to become a legend. It is that possibility, that dream, that transforms the 1977 penny into something far beyond its face value. The thought that a single cent could command a price of $248 million is not just about money, it is about imagination, about passion, and about the human tendency to seek meaning in even the smallest things. The auction world has already shown us that coins, like works of art, can break every expectation, that rarity combined with history can push values into the realm of the unbelievable. If one coin can achieve it, then so can another, and perhaps one day that coin will be a 1977 cent. Think about what that would mean: a coin once used to buy candy or pay for bus fare, a coin once tossed into a fountain for luck, suddenly becoming the most valuable penny in existence. It would prove that hidden treasures still exist in the most ordinary places. It would show that the humble cent, long overlooked and debated for elimination, still holds the power to capture the world's attention. And it would remind us that history is not something locked away in museums, it is something you can hold in your hand, something that can still surprise and inspire. So the next time you see a penny on the ground, or you sort through spare change in a jar, remember the story of the 1977 1-cent coin. Remember that within those tiny discs of copper lies not only the memory of Abraham Lincoln, not only the artistry of Victor David Brenner and Frank Gasparo, not only the craft of the U.S. Mint, but also the endless possibility of discovery. For hidden among billions, there may be one coin that is not just a penny but a fortune, not just a piece of money but a piece of history, not just worth 1 cent but worth $248 million and more, and that is the magic of the 1977 penny, a reminder that even the smallest things can carry the greatest stories, the greatest dreams, and perhaps the greatest treasures the world has ever known.